Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Female Filmmakers Fuse with Alexa Polar, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello, this is Female Filmmakers Fuse. I'm your host, Alexa Polar. I have Robin Pabello here.
Happy Sunday.
Robin, why don't you share with us what's going on?
Yes, we have exciting news. So the show is now available on iTunes, Google Play, and everywhere you get your favorite podcasts. You can just search for Female Filmmakers with an S, Fuse, and then please subscribe to listen to the show every week or every Sunday. You can do it with us live, or you can also download past episodes, which I just did.
Awesome, thank you. Today, our awesome and special guest is Deven MacNair. I said that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Awesome.
Good morning. Happy Sunday.
Yes, happy Sunday to you. It's actually beautiful out today.
It is a gorgeous Sunday. Oh, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, you can always call in if you have any questions or comments or concerns. You can reach us here at 818-602-4929. That's 818-602-4929.
And today would be a good day to call in because Deven has a slew of educational information of what she's been through. I'm really excited to have you on as a guest. You're actually one of the first people I approached to please be on as a guest for my podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I'm really glad you said yes. Just a little background. I met Deven through Robin.
Woohoo!
It was through a project that I'm working on. I wrote and I'm set to direct, and I was trying to find someone that I can trust to be the stunt coordinator for the project. And Robin came across this article on LA Weekly, and she said, you should read this article and you should contact Deven, who's one of the main people on the article. And it was about rape scenes in the film industry. I read it, and I nervously contacted you because for some reason I thought, she's not going to have time for me.
I've got time for Alexa Polar, no problem.
But you're just amazing. And I think we connected almost immediately, I want to say. Maybe I'm just thinking that's what it was.
Absolutely.
But you've been through a lot since I've met you. And I want to say I've learned a lot. I've noticed you become, maybe I'm incorrect in saying this, but I feel like you become an advocate, if you will.
Yes, accidentally, yes.
Yeah. So why don't we go into that, if you don't mind. First, let's start. How did you come into stunts?
I wanted to, which is actually a very awkward way to come into stunts. Usually some people find their way in accidentally and then find out how much money they can make, and it's like, oh my gosh, but I wanted to. So I wanted to be a professional athlete. I was an athlete in college, and I wanted to continue that career. And to continue that career in America as a female, you got, to me, two options, realistically. Become a coach or become a stunt woman. Everybody's like, well, what about the WNBA? I'm like, well, first of all, I didn't play basketball, so let's just start with that.
Just because you're a tall drink of water doesn't mean you play basketball volleyball.
I played softball, and in softball there is no professional league, and I got to learn really interesting statistics about that too. Your junior and senior year in college, women actually perform not as well as men, especially their senior year, because men are truly looking at getting into the big leagues. Women are truly looking at their scholastic ability, because they got to find a way to, get a career that has nothing to do with what they've been working on for the past 4 years, which is softball. I mean, it really becomes our career while we're in college. So anyways, it's a really interesting statistic how men their senior year in sports really try to excel, and women actually, it's not really their first priority at that point.
It's a lot with a lot of sports.
With all the sports.
Right,
Yeah.
With women in general.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like, I hope you had fun.
This is it.
That's it.
That's it. This is the end of the road.
Right.
So from that, I got my degree in theater as wanting to become, a stunt performer, and I tried for a year after college, and I even went up to my theater professor. I'm like, oh, how do I become a stunt woman? He's like, I don't know. Oh my God. So there goes that. And so I just fiddled around for a year and really couldn't figure it out. And I got so desperate and just frustrated. I did something that I don't recommend, but it worked. And I bought a ticket to Universal Studios because I knew there were stunt shows there.
Okay.
And I literally went up to the stunt performers at these stunt shows and said, how do you become a stunt person? Ironically, one of the shows, the director happened to be there, and they were looking for 6-foot blondes that were available to go to Japan, which, you know, not everybody can just up and go to Japan, but I was a 23-year-old woman just ready to go to Japan. And for 2 years, I got the audition, and it was my very first audition, and I booked it.
Wow.
To the point where my parents thought it was a scam. You know,
Really?
My parents were like, "This is not legit. No one is paying for you to go to Japan." And I was like, "I think they are." You know, so I've always had my parents' doubt in the back of my mind, which has actually been a healthy doubt.
Right.
I mean, it comes with love.
Right.
But they truly thought I was being scammed, and so I had to get a passport. Like it was on. So. Interesting enough, I went to Japan for 2 years, and that was a great start. That was a great, foundation. But from there, then to get SAG-AFTRA work was a whole new beast. And I, as easy as it was for me to get my first job, it was just as equally hard to get my second job. And took me years, to be quite honest, years before I got my first SAG-AFTRA job.
How does one become a stunt woman, actually? I mean, just sparking curiosity.
Fun fact, there are no qualifications to becoming a stunt person. There are no certifications to becoming a stunt person, which is both interesting and frightening. And by the way, that includes the stunt coordinator. So the person that is rigging you 200 feet in the air, just know, and always know this, every actor should know this, every director should know this, your caterer has more certification than the rigger and or stunt coordinator. And I am trying to demystify this. Okay. There is, what's really interesting is I worked for a Disney producer, and she was really lovely, huge in the Disney Corporation. And I gave her my card, and I said, yeah, I'm a stunt coordinator now. And she said, oh my God, I am so glad you went through that certification process, because we don't have that many female stunt coordinators, and it's so wonderful. And I am so glad you're now certified as a stunt coordinator. And I'm like, well, I did go to Kinko's and print out these cards. So yes, I am qualified. Don't get me wrong, we have our own check and balances to a certain extent for those that are with integrity. With those with integrity, we have checks and balances.
Okay.
Usually you're a professional athlete before, you're a softball, Division I college player, you are the #1 jet skier in the world, X Games plays a part in stunts.
Okay.
And from there, you build people's trust. And hence, it was really hard for me to get my first job after working a live stunt show. SAG-AFTRA, we don't have auditions necessarily.
Oh, wow.
You are literally, the stunt coordinator is just literally guaranteeing that these stunt people can do the job. So they're not going to take on a newbie, And so that's why nepotism really is a thing. And I now understand why nepotism is such a thing in stunts, and why family dynasties work in stunts, because at least your brother can do it. You know what I mean?
Right, you're like kind of grandfathered into it.
Literally.
Okay, so if you're fresh coming into this part of the industry and you want to pursue that gives you a little bit of a base jump off of what you're talking about.
Right. You come in with your specialty. Come in with a specialty is the first thing that'll impress somebody. Come in with juggling skills. You know what I mean? Literally juggling skills, Okay. And that just shows, because you're going to be the expert in that exact field. And then from there, so to become a stunt person, you definitely need to be, the one qualification is you need to be in SAG-AFTRA. There's really not that non-union stunts really doesn't exist, in the fact that nobody has time for that.
Okay.
Nobody has time to be uninsured and be doing stunts.
So with that being said, if you are working on a non-union project and you want to hire a stunt coordinator, it has to go through SAG-AFTRA.
Yes and no.
You just want to make sure that they're a part of SAG-AFTRA.
The average SAG-AFTRA stunt coordinator would not do a non-union shoot. So therefore, you're still, literally playing with fire.
Okay.
That's interesting.
As I know it. That.
How would you like to see a change in that, where you would have to have gone to classes and all this thing? Like, what, in your perfect world, what would you see as a good change or suggestion?
There needs to be more research on Australia and England. They have a certification process to becoming a stunt person.
Okay.
You have to be proficient in 5 out of 7 skills.
Okay.
There needs to be, and of course, the stunt performers I've talked to that are certified in England and Australia, they too say there is a little bit of nepotism. There is some subjectiveness, but what isn't subjective is the fact that tomorrow Joe Blow can't become a stunt man on set tomorrow, literally.
Right.
Joe Blow can't be a stunt coordinator tomorrow. Joe Blow's wife can't be a stunt coordinator tomorrow. That's the other issue we are dealing with.
Okay.
Stunt coordinators might not be able to do a show because let's just say they're on the Transformers or some movie like that, but they're like, oh, but my wife will do it, and she's qualified and certificated. And the producer's like, oh, well, heck, great, let's bring on Joe Blow's wife. And that's where things get really dicey quick. And I'm not trying to ironically, I'm like not trying to downplay women as stunt coordinators, but to be quite honest, we do have an issue with stunt coordinators' wives just taking on a show.
Yeah. No, that sounds like that would be an issue.
It is an issue. Yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like in any different field. Robin's a cinematographer, DP, and if she were to I can't, but I'll send my friend
or my husband
or and they don't know cameras, but I'll hand them a camera and say, just click here.
Right. You wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because it's a specialized field, and that's involving people's safety. In
Absolutely.
the union, we have to take safety classes.
We don't.
And I think that's mind-boggling, because that's such a very physical, demanding job.
At this point, SAG-AFTRA is trying, God love them, they're trying.
Right.
Good.
They're trying to pass something where stunt coordinators, and by the way, we have to define who a stunt coordinator is. Stunt coordinators would have to take sexual harassment classes. That has yet to happen.
I think everyone should take a sexual harassment class. I really do.
Right.
I really do.
I think every SAG-AFTRA member should probably have that.
I feel like that's something that definitely needs to be addressed in every department.
Yeah.
Not just in our industry, in our field, but
Everywhere,
just life
yeah.
in general,
Yeah.
across the board.
But I totally understand what you're saying, because I remember when I was looking for side jobs or whatever, and I'm good over the phone customer service, and I prefer that. And so sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to do this for a couple months, And I applied to this one job, and it was receptionist answering phones to do appointments for kids learning how to swim. I was nowhere near the pool. I didn't take the job, but I was nowhere near the pool. I was in an office way in the back, and that was my job, right? It would have been my job. And then they said, well, before you get hired, we want to hire you, but before you get hired, you have to go to training, learn CPR. And I was like, whoa. I was like, I'm literally just going to answer the phone. I would love to, because I have nephews and nieces, and that is a goal. I would love to know CPR and whatnot. And they said, you never know. It's one of those things you might need to jump over your desk, get to the pool, and just know what you're doing in case they need another pair of hands or whatnot.
Right.
That's for an office job.
Yep.
Asking for me to be certified.
That's amazing.
I mean, here's the thing. And I personally feel like that is a life skill that everyone should know. I am personally CPR certified, so I can save your life and have saved a couple people's lives. And I'm first aid qualified as well. So, that's something it's required of you per year, depending on how you're introduced into that. But I feel like if you are a person of good stature and you want to make sure that you're a good citizen,
right, you would do something like that.
Or
but that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and that's what you mean. It's
maybe stunt coordinators should have CPR training. You know what? Maybe. I mean, let's just start with the basics. Let's start with
absolutely.
Really. I mean, because we're entrusting our talents' lives in your hands, and so I want to go into a couple different things here.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
what's the ratio? How many men to women, women to men are there in the stunt community? Not just stunt coordinators, but performers in general.
Okay, I don't know if there's an exact statistic, so I'll give you my overall general. In 20 years, I would say the statistic is about 10 to 1. Okay. Right around 10 to 1. And I mean, working stunt professionals. And I'm able to back that claim up with, we have a stunt league. And so once again, if you're trying to become a stunt performer, good tip is come out to the Van Nuys softball field and just see what we're all about on Saturdays in the spring. But so in our stunt league, we have a co-ed stunt league, stunt league, softball league. And the rule is co-ed means one woman is on the field.
Wow. Okay.
That is the definition of co-ed stunt softball.
What?
One woman,
and you're the one woman,
and I'm the one woman on one team. Yeah. Okay. And that is the definition of our co-ed stunt softball league. So to me, that sums up everything.
That makes okay.
That's insanity. I mean, I know a couple of females that are training, and I don't know that she's a stunt coordinator, but I think she is. There are two of them there, but they were both actresses. They still are actresses. Very
we're all in SAG-AFTRA together.
Yeah,
yep,
so
absolutely.
I know two, so I can probably introduce you to them because I mean, they're fantastic. They've been training and they do their own stunts, and I see them hardcore training to the tumbles and the kicks and the punches and all that kind of stuff. So I'll gladly introduce that because then they'll feel like they have more of a community. Absolutely. Sure. And ladies, if you are interested whatsoever, give us a call. Give us your thoughts. Like if this is something you're interested in, this is one lady you want to pick her brain for.
Yeah,
for sure.
And now is the time to jump into communities that have been mostly male. There is some change going on. There really is.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. My second thing is this, and I think it's kind of a weird maybe thing to bring up, but I've been wanting to since I knew you were going to be here today. Actors doing their own stunts. Me personally, most times it's not something I would prefer. Yeah. I rather, and it's weird now that I know that you guys don't have any certification.
None.
But me personally, I feel that I would want to leave that job to the stunt performer. That's what they came to do. That's, you're the actor, the talent. I'd rather your safety come first. The stunt performer as well. But that's what they do. That's their job. And I don't know how, I've always wanted to ask a stunt person, how do you feel about that? Actors, like Tom Cruise always bragging about it. I do my own stunts. That's just an example.
And that's a great example. And that is the truth. He does his own stunts. He also, because he does his own stunts, he shut down his own production for weeks because he sprained and or broke his ankle. Therefore, to me, irresponsibly, he's financially fine, but that cast and crew is not. No. And or if the insurance does pick this up and lets all these people be unemployed for so many weeks, insurance is never going to allow that ever to happen again.
Yeah, I think that's something that needs to end. I don't understand it. I get maybe it's a bragging thing.
It is a bragging thing.
A little bit of machismo, if you will, because I see it more in the male actors than the female actors. Yeah. And it's one of those things where I'm going to do my own stunts and show the BTS to prove that it was me. And it's kind of like, I don't want to see that.
Well, and interestingly enough, I got to see one, even with BTS, you can still cheat it. And you can cheat the actor. And the actor can truthfully say he did his own stunts when in fact he did not.
Gotcha.
Meaning, we had an actor, he fell from 15 feet onto a pad, and right there, that is borderline too much for an actor to do, but he did it. He did, and he did a great job. And everybody praised him, and it was wonderful, and he goes offset. Well, now we bring in the stuntman who does a 50-foot fall.
Oh, my God.
And this actor possibly never knew that there was a man doing a 50-foot fall to his 15-foot fall.
Wow.
So do you see how, we can honestly tell, the actors can honestly say they've done their own stunts when they have no idea another stunt person has come in to recreate that exact same scene.
To me, it's a thing of respect as well. I mean, I want to respect my colleagues, what their position are in this team that we'd form. It's a team effort. It's not just, I made this, I did this. I think you have to collaborate with everyone and give praise and thanks to everyone for their jobs and your job and whatnot. And I think, to me, personally, I think it's disrespectful when someone comes in and says, I'm going to do your job because I can.
Actors are so eager. They're just so eager to do everything, and they want to, show their value to the production. And that's great to be eager, but we need you for the whole run of the production.
Right. Exactly.
So a lot of times, and then there's also that ego. So you also have to really be careful. It's a fine line of the ego.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the actor, so the actor's like, I want to do my own stunts. I want to do my own stunts. Like, first of all, we can't afford to have you break your arm.
Right.
And secondly, we need you to do this 20 times.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about we do it once or twice into a very thin pad and see how we feel? And there's going to be someone for you right around the corner. And sure enough, they'll do it 1 or 2 times. A, it gets boring.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And B, it doesn't feel that great.
Right.
Even onto pads, it
Right.
doesn't feel that great. Now, also the quality is being compromised because with a stunt performer, you can have them go to concrete. That's the difference. I will never let an actor go to concrete. I will let a stunt performer. That's our job.
Okay.
And so once again, you're not seeing the full, you might get the face of the actor going down,
Mm-hmm.
but you aren't seeing them go down to concrete and make a big old splash. So it is also, that's usually how this happens, where I'll let the actor do it once or twice into a very thin pad, and then they're like, yeah, we're good, right? We're good? I'm like, sure. So you're okay with a stunt double then doing it a few more times onto concrete? Oh, yeah. Oh, of course. So there's a fine line how to do that. We had a panel recently where Evangeline Lilly wanted to do her own stunts, and it was a Deadline article. It made headlines, unfortunately, of how she said she wanted to do her own stunts. So she did, and she got a little scraped. And then the stunt coordinator said, go do it again. And she said, no, but I'm scraped up. And he said, no, you said you'd do your own stunts, so keep going. And literally did do some disfigurement to her arm. So that to me is the fine line of machismo with the stunt coordinator, where he should have just said, okay, you did it once, look at you, good for you. And oh, wait, it hurts, right? Okay, bring in the stunt double.
And I think that's where
in a nicer way.
Right.
Correct. And I really feel like, we as professionals need to look at each other and each department with respect and trust that you're going to do your job as a stunt coordinator. I'm going to do mine as, whatever I happen to be doing, and vice versa in everybody else's fields. I feel like, it's definitely wrong on both areas. I don't feel that she was like, oh, I can do it without the help of a stunt coordinator. This is just me looking at the good of the situation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But then also I feel like it's also the fault of the stunt coordinator for just being like, nope, you said you could do it, so do it. It's kind of like you're trying to prove a point, but if the person's going to get hurt in any way or fashion, you've then failed at your job.
Absolutely. The job is to have the quality of the production go forward. Also keeping people safe, of course.
Yeah, your pride. Absolutely. I mean, there's multiple times that you're on set and people, there's a lot of stress. People can have like these little snaps. But, at the end of the day, it's more of what's best for the production, what's good for us as a whole, and then what's keeping us the most safe. Like if you're under stress and you're going to say something, I have thick skin. I'm not going to take it. And hopefully you have enough respect for me and vice versa for us to come to the end of the day and just be like, hey, sorry, I apologize for snapping or, whatever it would be. Because we're all one team.
Right. We still got 6 weeks of this, so we got to make this work.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Now to the more meaty part of this.
Let's go for meaty.
Let's do this.
Oh, it's dinner time? I'm hungry.
All right. Well, I learned a new term from you. Wigging.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And something happened, and that's where the whole you becoming an advocate came into play.
Yes. Quite accidentally.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. Wigging and paint downs, paint downs is the equivalent of blackface, is still an issue in stunts. My particular issue was on a show that is still not yet to be released. So that means it's still a current issue, as whenever this gets released, we're still watching wiggings and paint downs happening. My particular issue happened where the car needed to go 30 miles an hour and turn right with squibs. So that's the dangerous part. The squibs are electrical charges where somebody is shooting at the car, and therefore it's pop, 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 pop on the back of the car.
Gotcha.
There is no need to have. Once again, this is where a stunt coordinator just put their foot down. There is no need to have the actor, which you can barely see their face anyways.
Okay.
And usually there's no time on set for the actor to do their own stunts. They're doing their acting scene, you know, while the car's going out and turning right. So they even said the actress's stunt is up, and so I was literally the only female. I was the only female stunt person there that day. I was the only stunt woman there that day. So even the first AD comes up to me, second AD, and says, "Is this wig for you?" And I was like, "God, I don't think so, but who knows? I'm the only woman here." So it's her stunt. Her stunt's up, and even the actress wasn't there that day. They made a big announcement. It was the day before Thanksgiving. She gave us all cupcakes and literally took off on a plane. So I am literally the only female there to do the stunt. So I get to the car, and I know the stunt because I, ironically, was the stunt actor shooting at the car the day before. So I know exactly what this car is supposed to do.
Gotcha.
And there is a man, and he's got the sweater on of the actress, of Kate Bosworth, and he's talking to the transpo guy. And I was like, oh, okay, what's going on? What is going on, you know? And they said, oh, we're about to do the stunt. And I said, oh, okay, am I doing the stunt? And they're like, no, nope, I'm doing the stunt. And I was like, why? And he's like, it's too unsafe. And I was like, okay, come on. It's 30 miles an hour, turn right. He goes, yeah, the brakes are bad. And I was like, well, if the brakes are bad, then no one should be doing the stunt. Let's just start with that.
Right. Absolutely.
And no, please don't do this in front of me. It was also, interesting enough, two things. It was the third time I had seen it that past year. And on the second time, the first time I saw it, I wasn't even sure if what I saw was correct, so I let it go. The second time, I definitely saw it, and I didn't say anything. And I was very upset with myself. So on the second time, I was like, if this ever happens again, ever in my career, probably, 15 years down the line, what am I going to do? I'm going to tell them no. Yeah. Especially if it's a simple stunt. And sure enough, within months, it happens again. And I was like, here we go. I said, no, please don't do this in front of me. And I asked 3 times. And he said, no, because bottom line is, technically, this is about money.
Right.
I would have had to have been on a double contract. So I would have had to have been paid twice. That's technically what would have happened, because also a stunt person should have been called for this.
Right.
So anyways, I asked him 3 times. He said no. And I said, okay. And what are you going to do at that point? And I even helped him with the stunt. I even assisted. I did safety, traffic control. And then afterwards, he said, I apologize, just so you know, I understand it's a really sensitive issue, and I mean no disrespect. And I kind of almost let it go, but I called SAG. I called SAG that night. Knowing my career's over. The minute I call SAG. Now, really interesting fact, I was very upset. I called SAG. I explained the whole thing to the SAG operator. I gave them my name. I chose not to be anonymous. It was too obvious who it was, since I was the only female on set. So I chose to use my name. Ironically, and this is one of to me, the gravest issues, is I called the SAG emergency hotline, literally in tears, bawling, knowing my career's over. The message never got received to SAG.
Oh my.
Never. So that also frightens me about how many women are coming forward.
Right.
Quite possibly there's just a person on the other end of the line making a minimum wage and not caring about their job and not giving the message to the officials. Now, what happened was weeks later, so it was really interesting. I go to set the next time and nobody has a problem. And I was like, oh my God, look at me. Then I realized no one cares. And I was like, okay. So I went on with my life a little. And then I'm not on Instagram.
Let me pause you. I just want to interject.
Please.
Was the first AD involved in this conversation with the stunt
First
coordinator?
AD, second AD, transpo, camera, editors, hair, makeup. Every department was aware of this.
So every key was a part of this,
they including
have to be. Production, the heads.
They have to be, yes.
And you were vetoed because your boss said no.
Yeah, my boss said no, therefore that's it.
Wow.
The non-credentialed stunt coordinator has been done.
I mean, this is 2018.
This was 2016, to be quite honest. But
Okay.
yes,
2016.
but in 2018,
But
this has
still.
still happened.
Right.
I have
Correct.
many times this has happened on big shows in 2018.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So yes, thank you for clarifying.
Just wanted to clarify that all of the keys were
Yeah,
involved
absolutely.
in this because
And if you want to talk to people who really know, the editors have told me over and over, and I didn't really think about the editors, and they're like, it's just, not only is it disgusting, but we usually can't use the footage because you can tell it's a dude in a wig.
exactly.
That's the worst part. I mean, I've seen movies and I'm like, come on. Or like, how did that person get that? Like, it's,
Right.
yeah, I get it.
Yes.
So that being said,
So you were saying you're not on Instagram?
I'm not on Instagram, and another stunt woman now sees a photo that I wasn't aware of, because that was another thing. I was asked, do I have proof of this? And I was like, proof? I'm telling you. But that being said, I didn't have proof. I don't know what that would mean until the female gods gave me proof. So a stunt woman was looking at Instagram and said, what the heck is this? And it is a picture of the person in Kate Bosworth's wig being really effeminate against another man who says, look at my arm candy. And now they're on set taking a picture on a film that has yet to be released. Therefore, how unprofessional is that?
Yeah.
You should never
I'm
give
sure
out
there's
a photo.
NDAs and everything
Of
involved.
course.
Right.
We're guilty of it.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
all guilty
But this
of that.
one made national news.
Well, that one-
This is the
Yeah.
reason
Well-
you don't do this.
Well,
Right.
here's a thing though.
Except thank you for doing it.
I was going to say that actually worked to your benefit, thankfully, because in all honesty, if there wasn't that, I don't
a
want
picture takes it shows 1,000 words. It shows the attitude in that
yes,
picture.
that's what I was going to say.
It shows the attitude of the stunt community to me in
Yes.
that picture.
Oh, absolutely. In your field, absolutely.
So-
because you think about it, if he's
First of all, he
I'm
took
curious.
the picture. He was so proud of the
posted
picture,
it.
they posted it. There is 172 likes from the stunt community on it. Everybody's like, "Oh, say hi to that guy." I mean, the comments to me were the most offensive, believe it or not. So with that photo, a stunt woman went again to SAG and said, what are we doing about this? This photo, let alone proves everything. And then
Absolutely.
that's when SAG said, this is the first time we're hearing about this.
Okay. So that's when you found
So
out.
then now they call me and say, we hear you've actually complained about this. And I said, I did. I called the SAG emergency hotline
On the day of.
on the day of. And they asked me the hour and date because I said, that is incorrect. We have no proof of this. And
Wow.
they went back.
That's bad.
They went back to the transcripts, and sure enough,
There it
was
was.
all there. It was all there.
Now-
but they never got the message, which frightens me to a whole different level.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
a whole nother.
Yeah.
With that photo on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, do you know has it been taken down or is it still up?
Well, now it's just in newspapers.
Well, no, I know because unfortunately, because that's technology. We screenshot everything
Yeah.
and it stays
The
even if you try to
stuntman,
get rid of it.
As I understand it, the stuntman did take it down.
Okay.
But I'm sure
I think
that
after Deadline did the article.
yes,
Right.
but the bonus of that is the fact that it's proof in the pudding. It's right.
No, it's
right
already
there.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I describe my situation to many people, and they're like, "Oh, that's atrocious. That's horrible." Then I show them the picture of
that's
the
even-
incident, and that's when they become firm believers that this is disgusting. So that picture is amazing.
It's kind of like the knife and then them turning it and pushing it in further with that picture.
Right. Yeah, and for that stunt coordinator to say he's sensitive to the issues and all that, and then for that picture to emerge, that was the final straw of like, this is I'm a joke.
Now,
This is
were
we're
you
a
getting
joke.
contacted and being told off and whatnot?
I was told. So then I decided to go very public with it and had a meeting about it with other stunt women to let them know that we need to all come forward with, because at that point I realized SAG wasn't doing as much as I thought they were. I never knew how bad it was.
Yeah.
So, because, once again, I called and nothing happened. So how many times does this happen? I don't know.
That's scary.
So I called a meeting. I was very open I said, because of this picture, because of everything going on, let's have a meeting. I invited all the stunt groups, the female stunt groups, because I actually didn't know how bad blackface was at that point. I actually wasn't as aware as I am now. I am woke. So all the female stunt groups, a few stuntmen I invited, and they came, and we had a meeting. Now, the day of the meeting, that's when the stuntmen who were involved in this incident started calling me, saying, "How dare you?" And first of all, it's like, how dare I what? This is my story. This is not your story.
Right.
I mean,
Obviously
you have your own meeting. Please go have your own meeting.
They must have felt guilty or threatened at some point?
Threatened, not guilty.
Okay.
Not guilty, I don't feel. Hey, you know what? I don't know. But that day, I got calls from stuntmen saying they have proof I wasn't even there that day. So how dare I come forward? Now, I will say I got to learn the term gaslighting that day.
Okay.
I had never heard the term gaslighting. Also, I wasn't sure if I was there that day after a few calls.
Wow.
After a few calls, I did doubt my own sanity.
They really played into it. Like,
I
really
played
got to your
into
mind.
it.
Yeah. No, but they really got to your mind.
Then it wasn't until the third phone call I was able to come back with the most interesting, because I really had to go there and decide, was I there? I was there. Wasn't I there? And then I was like, wait a minute. Not only was I there, these men that are calling me weren't.
Yeah.
Holy God.
Not just that, you have a call sheet.
I have, yeah.
You have a call sheet that you have a full email, and that's black and white paper, like paper trail. It's crystal clear.
Right.
You also have your phone call that you have, so you have phone records proving what time and where that you're reporting something. You have transcription from SAG.
Yeah, but when phone calls are happening.
I understand
it
that.
Gets to you. You're emotional, and it's just like, Right.
And then I also got an email of on that day saying, next time you're on set, this is where I become a liability for anyone. Next time you're on set, we'll make it look like an accident. And
again, that's another. I'm glad that they're sending you paper trails. I mean, that's ridiculous, and I apologize that you have to go through that, because that's when you feel isolated. That's when you feel like you've done something wrong, and you haven't. You've stood your ground, and you have support.
Right. Yes, I have. That was the other thing, is finding the support outside of the stunt community. I thought it was going to come from inside the stunt community. I didn't plan on the Me Too movement happening. I didn't plan on women being heard. I actually only did my lawsuit just to really piss off and make sure the producers were aware that this happened on their set. You know, we don't know what producers are very aware of. You know, we know what the first AD is aware of. We know what the keys are aware of on set. But we don't know what the moneymakers are aware of. So that's all this was to just put them on alert that they allowed this to happen on their set, which I'm sure they're liberal. I'm sure they're like, oh, we love everything. You know, we're feminists too.
Right.
You know.
To some extent, yeah.
Who knows?
Now, that is ironic, the timing, like you said, with the Me Too, and you mentioned the word woke, and I think this is a time of woke for women. It's fascinating just how much has happened, transpired, is happening, and I think it's an interesting shift that's occurring. Now, the only way it's going to fully work out, and this is something that's been an ongoing conversation with Robin and other people that I talked to outside of the podcast, is when men step up.
And there have been some.
And there have been. And there's got to be more.
There's got to be more men, and there's got to be more women.
Yeah. We got to get rid of the fear.
You know what I got to figure out the right way to say this analogy, but technically stunt women are supposedly the physically most powerful women in America with their physical strength. The fact that I can't get one woman to come forward besides myself is frightening. Like, we are the strongest physically, but now I need some other girls to come forward.
Is it work? Do you think is that what it is?
Absolutely.
It's just like I might not get hired?
It's the fear of, this is what I want to be, and this is where I am, and I've worked so hard that how can I risk that? And it's a risk factor, because the reason why, to me, is looking at that is like, you knew when you made that phone call.
Yeah. I mean, you said it.
And I
see it right now.
Yeah, exactly. And that is the biggest fear, but it's just a job.
It's just a job.
And it can be replaced. You can't be, and that's what everyone needs to know, is that you can always get another job.
Right.
You can always know that your your time and your talent can always be placed somewhere else, and you can start a new community. Like, that is not something you should be afraid of. What you should be afraid of is someone disrespecting you as a person, as a human being.
Right.
And with that
or
being
the whole gender.
Yes.
That photo really shows
it does.
the
And
gender.
with that being said, because of this shift and women coming forward, and like what you said, outside of your own community, it's, I think, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I think you might get more support and more jobs from that outside community. Like, you have female directors like myself, you have female producers that are just like, screw this is who I want to work with, and we have now that power. And that's what I think it's becoming. Am I wrong in that?
I hope you are eventually right. I will say in a year and a half, I've kept my producer contacts and director contacts as is.
Okay.
After that, I haven't worked.
Okay.
So that's where I find this whole female, we're taking over Hollywood. Not too sure about that, because statistically, the phone hasn't rung.
Okay, I get it.
How's that?
No, I get it.
So we can say, women are taking over Hollywood and women are disgusted with this practice in stunts, but I haven't received a job because of it.
Ladies, are you listening to this?
Yes.
My fellow female producers and directors, Deven is available. There's other stunt women available. Deven is for sure available. Yeah. She's amazing. I'm going to be working with you in the very near future.
Yes.
And I'll see to it that I'm always going to have you on my set.
So I'll say this. Once again, back to like Stunts 101, 100% your stunt job, as a stunt performer, you get hired by a stunt coordinator. As a stunt coordinator, you're hired by the producers. So as a stunt coordinator, I've been doing just fine, working, because of my producers. As a stunt performer, since I came out it was on actually Fox LA News, I've worked one day. And that's been 7 months now. So one day as a stunt performer, and that's it.
And you were recently at a seminar. It wasn't a seminar, but at a panel.
Yeah.
Let me correct that and rephrase that. You were at a panel.
That was at Fox Studios, which I found out Fox Studios and Fox News are different. But here we go. Yeah. Fox Studios.
And Fox Studios, you had a panel. And what was that panel about? And are there more like that in your near future?
There will be one more coming up. It was a great educational panel for everybody. Film Fatales put it on, and you want to talk about just an amazing thing. To give you the visual, it's now February. I've now not worked for a full month. I am in bed, just depressed. And I get a call from a random stranger saying, I just read this article. This is disgusting. I can't believe I'm reading. Is this, so sorry to ask, but is this really true? And I said, it's all true. And she said, I am going to be talking to Film Fatales, and we are going to put on a panel to make sure people are aware of these issues. And 3-4 months later, it happened. And that was from absolute strangers in the film community, absolute female strangers, by the way, and Film Fatales decided they were going to put this panel on at Fox Studios. Evangeline Lilly came and told her story with Evangeline Lilly's stunt double, and then we had 2 women of color, stunt performers and myself. And I got to even learn, once again, there's this one very, very talented stunt woman, black stunt woman. She literally only works when there is a need for a stunt double. And let me just, educate quickly. I would say, once again, I'm making up slightly some statistics, but not by much. Your bread and butter in stunts is in ND stunts, which is nondescript, which means it's a police officer. Male, female, black or white, doesn't matter. ND stunts is usually filled by, on average, your white male, Right. So what was really interesting to find out is this black stunt woman has only worked 2 days in her career.
How long has she been?
8 years.
Wow.
In her career, she has only worked 2 days as an ND stunt performer. And keep in mind, the average stunt person, that's their bread and butter. Yeah. So that's what it hit me. Stunt coordinators only see her as a black double, not as a cop, not as a baker, not as a waiter that's about to fall. She is only a black stunt woman to double black actresses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, whether they mean to or not,
Right.
that is what is happening.
Right. And I firsthand have seen Deven in action, you know, as a stunt coordinator, and she is fantastic. I mean, she knows how many times they can, you know, run through it, how much time they need to rest and recuperate.
Right.
Like, that was one of the things that I was impressed. I mean, and I was behind camera, so I was like, well, what's the best angle for me to light them? And she's like, over here. And I was like, done.
No,
That was a fun day.
It was a very fun day.
With that being said, thank you for reminding me. What led me to you was that article, and you spoke about rape scenes. Can we briefly touch on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Has that changed with everything with the Me Too, or?
Oh, you know, I don't know. What I have found myself as a stunt coordinator taking on a lot of rape scenes because one, I'm all about the story and not necessarily about the violence, but also the violence has to, you know, play a part if that's the way the director wants to go. And in those moments, it's usually a very vulnerable actress. Most likely, we can't use a stunt double because we really need to be close and intimate in seeing, you know, her facial reactions. So it's about making sure the actress is comfortable with what we're doing, make sure the actors are comfortable with what they're doing, and figuring out a very safe but yet violent way to film this, if that's the way the director is going. The most interesting thing is from all these rape scenes I've been doing, and also just the mindset that I've gotten to learn in the past year and a half of where a lot of females are not ready to speak up and then become more and more and more a victim. I'm actually looking at a script that I really want to produce about the systematic rape of slaves, except it wasn't really that violent.
Okay.
And how also statistically violence in rape doesn't necessarily happen. Violence and rape in movie scenes happen, but it's really about the mindset and the grooming process and what rape really is in our society. And it's about just taking away power.
That's exactly what it is.
And so, yeah. And there's been a couple of scripts. I don't know if I can even plug a couple, but there's been a couple of scripts out there that have just been really impressive in the past year.
That's all. Okay. That's
yeah.
cool. Yeah, because I find it interesting because as I was doing research for my project, I find that the way most of the time it's filmed or presented is glorified.
Yeah, or spectacular.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
And that's something
Yeah.
that's unfortunate. And that's why I would like to do things different.
Right.
You know, and I want to make sure that it's captured respectfully. And when I say this, it's kind of like I think of what Spielberg did when he did his Saving Private Ryan. And when he showed it, he had to keep in mind there's a lot of veterans out there that are going to watch this. And I have to respect them because it may be jarring. It may be something that's going to bring images back that they blocked. And so that's what I think of, is I think of the survivors that have gone through rape or sexual assault, or, you know, and I'm thinking of them, and I want to be respectful towards them if they ever watch this project. You know, I want to make sure they seek counseling. Because my thing is, I would like to capture it in a way that it tells it how it is.
Yeah.
You know, so people are uncomfortable and know if you're uncomfortable, imagine what she feels like.
Right. And that's, once again, coming from a female perspective, of course, which is amazing. And on the news, the only thing that makes the news are these spectacular, horrible, atrocious rapes. Meanwhile, on a daily basis here in LA, I mean, women and men are getting raped, but not with the violence that is making the news.
Exactly.
They just can't feel, they don't have the power to speak up.
Right. And I think, I'm hoping that people are now seeing that they can. I mean, it's shifting just a tad bit. I mean, I'm like a snail's pace, because you're still looking more at the survivor, at the victims, like, what did you do?
Right.
And that's horrible to ask them, what did you do? I'm like, why did I need to do anything?
Well, and then it brings back to this wigging thing. I went up to a woman and I said, I don't even think you know this, but you're the stunt double for this actress, and you weren't there that day because a man had your job. What do you want to do about it? It's your right to come forward. And she said, I just don't want anyone to be mad at me. And I was like, mad at you? They don't even think to hire you.
Yeah.
Like, who cares who gets mad at you? And by the way, what right do they have to be mad that you're asking for your own job? You're literally asking for your own job. You're not trying to take over the world.
That to me is a
that
societal
mentality.
It's a societal
that mentality is what we're talking about.
And that is what we do need to shift, because
big time.
Yeah, I mean, and I work with like different producers, different directors on different sets of all fashions, whether it's features, commercials, TV, and I do see the support as it's coming, and it's quite nice. It's just a shift that needs to keep on happening on a consistent
Absolutely.
Level.
Absolutely.
And that's why I think being a part of any of these groups, especially is to lift each other up. And I think it does take a lot of courage, and I think that you've set a very good example, and you are a trailblazer, and not to say that in a glorified way, but
not part of my plan.
No, of course. And that's a happy accident too, you know what I mean? Because you've invoked that.
That's usually how it happens too, where you don't plan it.
No.
I talked to a stuntman and he made me laugh, and thank God. We were just talking about like my career and where it's not going right now with performing. I'm not performing right now. And, he said, you didn't wake up that day and look at your watch like, oh, today's the day I'm going to implode my career, So, yeah, it wasn't part of my plan. It was just ironically and really interesting. Around that exact same time, it was 2 weeks after Trump got elected. And, it just happens to be. And, also, it happens to be around the time the Me Too movement was really starting to form and just about explode without me knowing. So I just wonder if all of this coming together, and also like having the second wave of feminism coming in, meaning, girls have a right to work. The only reason I got to see this on set is because I was on set.
Correct.
Which also production brought up to me of like, why are you having a problem with this? You were already being paid.
Wow, what? No.
And I was like, that's not, thank you for the paycheck. Where the hell was the stunt double? But yeah, that did get brought up to me of like
you should be grateful.
Yep.
You were there.
You got paid.
Keep in mind, producers' job is to only think of money, bottom line, and that does suck because it happens all the time. And sometimes, the moral thought, and those are the good producers, and there are a lot of them out there that do care about you. Same with all the keys. They're not thinking about the money because it's materialistic. They know, what, this is not safe. I'm going to walk off the set. And I thankfully know a handful of people that have done that. And I've been an advocate of like, this doesn't seem safe to me. Is there some way we can safety this? And if it's not safe and I am in charge, it's not happening.
Right.
It's not worth it. A person's life is never the value of any kind of monetary. That's it. And I apologize for that person trying to demean what you were trying to advocate.
Right. Yeah, they reminded me I was already hired that day. So
yes, and you were doing your job.
Yep.
Yes, thank you so much for reminding me that you paid me to be who I am on your set.
Right, yeah.
Let me remind you that this also becomes a safety issue.
Right.
So
Literally.
the next time, I'm terrible. I am the worst person. Alexa can vouch for me. I am terrible when it comes to like responding to people, like here in the now and hearing this like in retrospect. Absolutely, I have very good thoughts, but like there are times where you get stunned and you're just like, I don't have that quick wit. I don't have the little snaps back to like defend it, but I've become more and more aware of that and trying to like be more articulate. This one over here, she's got a sword for a tongue, and it's like double edged.
Which is why possibly I keep my my circle very small, and I'm totally fine with that. The people that are around me in my life are the people I want in my life.
Nice.
It's not about quality.
It's all about
quality too.
But that's what I mean. It's like I have an Instagram. I'm not the most popular person. I'm okay with that. I'm totally fine with that. I have my Facebook. It's everyone that I have on my Instagram and my Facebook are the people that I have that I want to keep track of, and vice versa.
Right.
So I scare people because I am that person that if I get angry, I'm there. And sometimes, like, when I find someone professionally like yourself, we're friends on Facebook, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to see the real me. And then I love it when you post something. I'm like, oh my God, we're the same. This
You
is
guys
great.
are dorks.
So, which reminds me, as we're wrapping this up, please tell me something positive. What are you promoting? I see that you're doing something called Directing Change. What is that?
Here's the positive thing.
Briefly tell us about that.
Here is Thoughts and Prayers in Action. DirectingChange.org and DirectingChangeCA.org is an organization where film people, they really want film people, so film people, listen up, where kids 12 to 22 have the ability to make a PSA, a public service announcement, on their iPhones, 30 seconds, and it's a contest. And they have to hit so many bullet points about understanding mental illness and putting it in their PSAs, which means they're accidentally learning.
That's awesome.
And then it gets judged by a random subjective group of Californians, and actually from all over the nation, which once again, then those judges accidentally get to learn about the mental health and teenage suicide awareness. And next thing you know, we have every year the award ceremony, and these kids from all over California get to be flown in and driven in. And it's really exciting to see these kids who didn't think that just by doing this as a classroom project, or like their parents made them, or they really wanted to, they accidentally became award-winning directors and producers, and
so cool.
Now their PSAs run at the AMC theaters before movies.
That's amazing.
It is
I'm all about that.
I'm seriously going to look into and see how I can help.
Yes.
And
We're always looking for judges. So
awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll do it for sure.
Do they do mentorships? Because I know I've worked with a couple programs within the city. That
we did
can do
something new this year at the award ceremony. It was a two-day event, and the day before, they got to meet the director of Glee.
Ooh.
They got to meet animators from Nickelodeon.
Beautiful.
They got to meet stunt people. They got to network. So
Cool.
I mean, this is just a 5-year baby little nonprofit. It is actually going national next year.
Fantastic.
Because it has just done so well here in California. So yeah, that's where I'm going right now, is to the AMC theaters.
Awesome. And then real quick, where can people find you? What's a website? Where's the easiest way to...
Twitter. Deven MacNair, Deven MacNair, MacNair at Twitter.
Awesome. Thank you.
And I try to keep it so positive there on Twitter.
That's great.
Yep.
That's awesome. All right. So thank you again, Deven, for
Thank you.
being here. Robin, thanks for that. And don't forget, you guys can listen to us, find us on iTunes, Google Play, or any of your favorite podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast.
Yes, you can just search Female Filmmakers with an S, Fuse, and please subscribe, because I was the first one that did it.
Nice.
And listen to this show. If you haven't, share it. Trust me. Contact
Yes.
Deven. Thank you so much again.
We also had a great first episode with Sophia Chiapos, and then our second
she's
one.
great.
Yeah.
Wow, right?
Yeah.
And then we also had Callie Gilbert as well. So third is a charm.
Nice.
Ms. Deven MacNair. Have a happy Sunday.
Thank you, everyone.
Happy Sunday.
You're listening to Female Filmmakers Fuse with Alexa Polar, only on LA Talk Radio.